Hey, good morning. Chuck here with Apple Drains. There are many parts to the rainwater drainage system. Today let's look at catch basins. There are many parts of the rainwater drainage system, and today let's take a look at catch basins, how they work, and why they're so important to add to your system, whether you add them directly in the yard by themselves or you add them to a French drain. When it rains hard, that surface water needs a place to go. Let's take a look at that. And let's start with the most common catch basins that you find at Home Depot and Lowe's. Here's three different kinds. We've got my favorite, this little 6x6 round catch basin. What is a catch basin? A catch basin is exactly what the name says. This catches debris. You can see this little space down here underneath. This is where the discharge pipe comes out, but the debris sits down in the bottom. So you put the grate on the top. This goes in the low spot of the yard. When it rains hard, all that water pours into the basin. It just pours into the basin and the pipe carries it away. Don't forget, you must have a discharge. You cannot run this into a dry well. You cannot run this underground and let it dead end. It must discharge to daylight. So if you've got a good downhill run, simple. If you don't, you're going to need a sump pump, and I have lots of videos to explain that. Next basin, this is a 9x9 catch basin. It's a little bit bigger. It costs a whole lot more. This basin costs, this basin cost about $50. This basin less than $15. They're exactly the same. You might say, oh, this one's bigger. Not really. When it rains hard, I mean really rains hard, this water coming across your ground into your low spot is going to fill up this catch basin like that. So it doesn't really matter how big the catch basin is, right? What matters is the discharge. And we're using 4-inch pipe. That's pretty standard in the industry. You can run 6-inch pipe, that's fine. But it's still, the discharge is what's making this drain work. Let's look at a 12x12. Let's go ahead and put the adapter on there. Notice it's the same adapter, exactly the same. This is a 12x12 basin, and it's bigger than the 9x9, and it's bigger than the 6x6. Does it work any better? No. As it rains hard, I mean really hard, you've got this in your low spot, water pours across the ground, fills up this basin like that. And what makes it work is your discharge. So, why is this? This is $65, by the way. So what's the difference here? What's the actual difference? The actual difference, let me put the other adapter on there. The actual difference between these two basins is not really the size of the basin, but how much lower you can go underground. Can you see the difference? The 12x12, it's about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches deeper. Okay, the 9x9. Now let's take a look at a 6x6 as compared to the 12x12. Can you see how much deeper the 12x12 is? Okay, so does that make sense? In other words, if you've got a deeper line, yeah, you could put a big 12x12 on there to get down to that depth, or you could use this really great 6-inch round catch basin and put an adapter on it to any height that you want. Put your grate back on the top, it snaps in place, and it's done. So you can cut this 6-inch pipe to any level you want. Remember, it makes no difference how big the basin is. What's important is how big is your discharge. And these are all the same. They call this 4-inch, but they're actually about 3 inches, so maybe 3.5. But they're all exactly the same. Take a look. Take a look at those two discharges. Can you see any difference there? They're exactly the same. Exact diameter on the outside. This fits the 12x12, it also fits the 9x9, but it's the same as a little 6x6. So if you really want to put a great catch basin system in, you can put all these catch basins, any one you want, but I would suggest that you use this 6x6. This is kind of tight, so hold on. So if you really want to solve that problem, a very cost-effective way is you could put your 6x6, this is an atrium grate. What that means is that it helps as debris floats across the ground. Maybe it's in a bed that has mulch or straw that tends to build up, so it can hold more debris and water can still come into the system. It works great. Okay, so after a big rainfall, you can see that water just stands here in this low spot between these two garages. And the homeowner would like to get this water out of here, mosquitoes, and of course get some grass to grow back here too. And it's a pretty simple problem if you take a look at it. You can see that this actually comes downhill towards the camera, and it actually is just backing up right there at a small low spot. So we're going to put a catch basin in there and send it on down the hill. The simplest way to solve this problem is just to create a trench that will come through that little rise in the yard and allow that water to drain. So we'll do that first to drain the area, but then we're going to go ahead and permanently fix that by putting a catch basin in there. You could also regrade the area, but that's an awful lot of work. Notice that with each shovel, that water is going to follow my trench. Okay, here's our trench, and you can see we're going right up to the low spot. We actually dug it a little deeper right here to put our catch basin in. Let me show you what a catch basin is. Okay, here's our catch basin, and again, it's a used basin. I'm just showing you an example, but you can see it's got a 6-inch grate on the top of it, and that allows water to go through the fitting down into the catch basin. And this is the inside of the catch basin. It comes out through the outlet, and we're going to set that so that the catch basin sits just below the top of the ground. It'll be right here. Okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and set this pipe to length for the discharge. We're using PVC, a thin-walled PVC. This is 3,000 pound crush, and a good hacksaw cuts right through it. Clean off the burrs, and all it does is slide into the inside fitting, and it fits nice and tight. We'll set that down in our trench. Here I'm going to put a little dirt underneath of it just to hold it in place. And that's basically it. Basically now we're just going to cover it up, and then I'll simulate a rainfall so you can see it discharge, and it'll work great. This area will no longer flood right here. Here's our catch basin installed, and you can see the pipe. I just left it uncovered here at the end, but basically we're going to run some water here and see if it'll drain into that catch basin. So now you can see from this little garden hose, we're letting the water run in a low spot, and it runs right down into the catch basin. We've turned the water off, and it's just running down the hill until it goes into our grate of the catch basin. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it.